Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kid Lee, and we're going to take a look at the brand new SimCity 5, or SimCity 2013, depending on how you want to call it. For those who don't know, SimCity is known as an open-ended or open-world city-building simulation game. It was developed by Maxis Studios and published by EA Electronic Arts. The original SimCity came out in 1989 and was released for the Macintosh, the IBM PC, and the Commodore 64. Now, quickly before we get into this, it is worth noting that the launch of this game did have some issues, but the game itself is very, very good. A couple of the main complaints that I've seen about this game are that people say that they don't like the graphics of the game, and that they thought that based on some of the screenshots and the early information that the developers took out a lot of the customization and they made the game too simple. So in my video I am going to disprove both of those, basically saying that it is just as complex as the previous SimCities. And if you don't like the visual style, I can show you a fix for that. Now, this version of SimCity does support full multiplayer, and what I'm going to do is myself and a couple of friends, we're actually going to do either a weekly or a bi-weekly series on this game, showing our region and how it's going to develop over, a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So everybody stay tuned to my channel for that. One of the great comments that I saw from one of the developers on this game is they said you could actually go to the previous SimCity games, take a screenshot, give them the screenshot, and they could actually use a spreadsheet and break down everything they see in that screenshot, and they could tell you exactly what your city is doing and how it's doing it. And they said for this game, they couldn't do that because things are so different. Now, if somebody were to ask me, well, what's the biggest change to SimCity 5, or what's the best way you can describe it? And my answer to that would be, they've basically taken an RPG or RPG elements and added it to this game. So enough talk. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Now you can see here, my friends and I already have a region set up, and this is what one of the region views look like. When you initially get into the game, there's multiple ones to choose from. So this one is set up for 16, I believe. And when you're looking to choose, where should I place my city, this particular one we have here is kind of cut down the middle. The sort of northwest side is separated from the sort of southeast side. And you can kind of tell that by the rail and road location. Now, these different plots here, you can actually click on them, and it gives you a little bit of base information. And the new thing for SimCity 5 is it actually displays resource icons: coal, ore, oil, water, and wind. And they're all slightly different. Like this one here has got no coal and no ore, but it's got, some of the other ones. So for our little demo here, I've already got one picked out. So we'll go ahead and load this one up here. They got pretty standard loading screens, it gives some game tips and whatnot. Alright, and we're loading in here. We got us a nice big piece of land here. I gotta figure out where the road is. Here it is up here. So we're actually gonna spin the camera around so I can look at it this way. Now, another one of the new items that they've added to this version of SimCity is you actually have the ability to do city specializations. So if we click on the shield down here in the lower left, it brings up the specializations. And they are mining, drilling, trading, electronics, culture, and gambling. So if we go ahead and click on mining here for a second, it brings up our different mining options. But I'm going to go ahead and show you one of the new data layers. So let's bring up the actual coal map. And now we can see here we do have coal deposits. So if we wanted to mine coal, that would be an option. Let's go ahead and check out the ore map. And there is no ore here. Okay, let's back up here. Let's switch over to drilling for a second, and we'll go to the oil map. Oh, we do have some rather deep oil pools, it appears. So that would also be an option. Let's go ahead and back up here for a second. We'll turn this oil map data layer off. And to get this city started, we need a road. Now the road will connect to the region via the interstate, which you can see here. Now I briefly touched on how they kinda sorta eliminated the grid style gameplay. So what we'll do here is we'll switch over to City View and we'll click on the road. Now we've got a bunch of different road types here, but again, new to this SimCity, we don't have to build straight roads. We can build curved roads, we can draw them freehand, we can do whatever we want. So just for testing purposes here, we want to go a high density avenue to link off the interstate. And right now I'm set up for straight roads. Now as I draw it, that's pretty standard what we've seen in the previous SimCities. Let me back out of that and let me switch over to arced roads. And here it actually gives you the option to arc them. And so we'll go ahead and back out of that, and let's check out basically what they call the Curvy Road, but it's basically freehand. So I can come up here and I can just go crazy and I can do whatever I want. And finally, the other two that I didn't mention is they actually have a circle road tool. So once you actually get going, I could actually do something like this. Or they have a square version as well. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to just stick with a straight road at the moment and extend this out a little bit. Now you see here there is a dotted line that goes up the map, and then as I scroll down there's a dotted line that goes across the map. What these are they're sort of guidelines to help you build your roads in a more perfect fashion. And if you actually do the curved roads or the arced roads, it will do guidelines to make sure that your curves are correct. Like if I'll just do dirt road here so I don't burn too much money, but if I take this and I just start arcing it and I go from here to here, let's say, now you can see the little helpers that have come up if I want to continue to do that. And again, you don't have to follow them if you don't want to. So I actually don't want that dirt road there, so I'm going to demolish it out here. Another item I'll point out here real quick, and this is a difference between the new SimCity and older ones, is it did cost me money to lay the streets, but there's no street maintenance. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna switch over to a street. We'll just do a low density street, and we'll come up. Actually, we'll just go ahead and follow this guideline because I think that'll work for me. And I'll draw one there. And actually what I'm gonna, whoops, let me click off of this here for 1 second. It's kind of difficult to tell without actually having any buildings up, but one of the added features is basically you can zoom in and out, which was in previous SimCities, and you can, you know, go around, but you can actually have the ability to sort of arc the camera too. Like, some people might say this view that I'm looking at now, you know, we don't like this view. We want that top-down view from the previous SimCities. You can totally do that. Basically just angle up the camera, you can zoom in or out, and boom, now you're in your top-down view. So let's go ahead and finish our roads here. And we'll go up, that'll work. We'll do a couple over this side. Draw one here, and we'll draw one here. Actually, let's go all the way up. Go with that one. Just sort of fill in our boxes here. This city I am going to keep just very standard. This city is actually going to be my technology-based city. That'll work. Okay, so we have enough roads down for the moment. I'm gonna re-angle it here a little bit. Now we have zones. In the previous SimCities, you would have multiple zones of every color. In this game, you just have one for each, and going from low density to medium to high is all actually based on your streets. Now I'm going to go ahead and select residential here, and you'll actually see the little note that it is free. It costs no money to lay down your zones. And the other thing that's going to seem very strange to people is as I lay these zones, it does not fill it in. It just does the outline. And basically the design purpose behind that is it allows the buildings to expand inward, and they all require street access, so that's how they get away with that. Now the streets in this game are, I don't know if I want to say that they're more important than the previous ones, but in this version of SimCity, the streets are basically everything. Your water, your electricity, your sewage, everything follows the streets. You don't have to lay water pipes anymore. You don't have to run your electricity lines. You don't have to do none of that. Everything is by the streets. So we'll go ahead and just throw down some more housing zones here, and we'll go ahead and we'll throw in some commercials. And actually, I want to take this, and I need to draw a street up this side. Now if I go back to zones, I can fill in the rest of those. Now I'll go ahead and click on the water deal here, and we'll bring up the water tower. Now as soon as I click on the water tower here, it's going to show one of the other new features of this game as far as water is it actually brings up a water table. So you don't want to be placing your water tower or water pumps where there's no water. And as I scroll along here, it actually tells me how many gallons of water are under those particular areas. If I go up this way, it starts, you know, oh, there's only 900 and 142, but over here there's, you know, over 1,000. So this is a pretty good area here, so we'll go ahead and plop it down here. And here you can see the streets starting to fill up with water. And here in a minute it's going to start pumping out water. And you can see the little blue bubbles starting to go to the houses. I'm actually going to crank up the speed on this And as that's going, we're going to switch over to electricity. And we got just a small town here, so we will just do the good old-fashioned wind power plant. And another new feature, we actually have an air map. So you can see the air is coming down from that direction, and you can see as I'm moving this around, it says the wind is currently at 7 miles an hour. So that's fine. And we'll go ahead and just place that right there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we probably need to do something with sewage. So I'm going to... we want the sewage as far away from our people as possible. So let's see here. We'll select our high density avenue and we're going to crank this. Oop, I'm not going to have enough money to do that. Crank it out just a little bit further. And I'll go dirt road from this point on. And I'll just work on changing that later. Okay, then we'll go ahead and we'll go sewage. And our only option at the moment is an outflow pipe. And again, it's giving you the wind. And you can see the nice little animation that they have on that. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. And my government thing down here is flashing. I now have the ability to place the city hall. Now that's going to cost me $200 an hour, and right now I'm only making about $449. But that'll be alright, we'll go ahead and place it. Now you see these blue lines that are coming out of the building I have right now. The blue lines are representing the snap location. And if you look really carefully, and we'll try and zoom in here, you can see there's sort of white boxes on 3 of the sides of the building. And what those are expanding locations. I mentioned briefly that I thought the best way to describe this was the fact that they added RPG elements. And what I meant by that is there's a lot of, well, pretty much everything in the game it's all about leveling now. And we'll gotta name our city here real quick. But one of the new features to this game is this leveling mechanic. In the previous Sim cities, when you built, you know, a power facility or the schools or police stations, you basically had to build them all over your city, and you don't do that anymore. You can basically build one location, or maybe in some cases 2 locations, and then from there you just level them up and expand them. Now for an example of this, let me go ahead and click on the wind farm here. And we have 2 options here. We can turn it on or off, or we can go and we can edit it. And it brings us to this edit mode. And so what we want to do is, instead of placing more wind farms, all we have to do is add more turbines. So if we wanted to add more little turbines, we bring this up, and we just add more turbines to the one facility. Now we don't need it right now, so we'll go ahead and back out. Now we have enough houses up right now to where I can start to show you some of the more detailed items. And this is where it kind of gets to what I was talking about earlier on how some people said, you know, oh, they made this game too easy or it's too simple now. Let me go ahead and start pulling out all the data layers and information, and you'll see that it's just as complex as the previous ones, if not more, now that they've added this leveling system. So we can click on the budget thing here, and it brings up all the, you know, pretty standard budget things from the previous games. There are currently some items that I don't have listed here because I do not have a Department of Finance. And once I would get that, it would open up more options. Now let's go ahead and click on the people, and it will bring up pretty much anything you'd want to know about your money and the people and what's going on with that. Right now there's not much going on because I don't have that many people. I've only got the 342. And we can click on the little happy face over here, and it gives information on the happiness levels, and you can click on these and eventually these will expand as well. And we've got the RCI from the previous games. And let's go ahead and click on the data layers here. Now these are all the different data layers. So we'll just kind of go down the list here. We've got the population map. And basically a lot of these data layers are sort of this columns or bars. So we'll go ahead and switch over to the happy meter. And it gives you a layout of how happy or sad people are. Now I'm actually going to close this and show you kind of part 2 on that feature. And we'll sort of zoom in here a little bit closer. You actually have the option to click on everything in this. So I'm going to click on the read residence here, and it gives me a couple options here. And also this sort of goes into the leveling thing I was talking about. So each house, each building individually has a double leveling system. They level based off of their land value and the density. And you can see here, you know, they're currently almost to double on the finance, and they're still working their way through how big their house is going to be. And then they'll actually tell you what makes them happy or what makes them sad. Now something else here that I'll mention just real quick, you can see near some of the houses they have little bubbles that are popping up. And again, it's just additional information that they're telling you in order to help you out. Like this guy saying, you know, steady flow of water, no problems. This one, you are a better mayor. This one, I wish there was more people here. And this one, I believe, is some sort of event. Click on it. It's going to zoom us in. It's a great town, but I need a place to work. And so now that's actually given me sort of a challenge that appears up here, and it says, you know, zone 10 industrial buildings. Okay, going back to the data layers here, we have a building density map, we have a residential map, we've got the commercial map. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Industrial map, there's nothing currently. That little flashing there means they're getting happier. We've got a land value map. Sure, yeah, that way up there's all red. Industrial tech map. We've got the power map, which we kind of saw it a little bit before. We got the water map, or the water table. We got the sewage. We've got waste disposal, which right now there isn't much here because I haven't put any waste disposal in yet. We got the fire risk. Got the health map, which there's nothing. We got the crime rate. Not much there. Education. Nobody is enrolled in a school. The germ map. The air pollution map. The ground pollution map, that's going through the roof. And it will actually show it on the ground eventually. Like if I go back to the water table here, yeah, it hasn't pumped enough yet, but eventually this will all start being polluted. We've got the wind map. We've got radiation, which there's nothing. We've got bus stop, which I currently don't have anything of. Streetcar, trans map, boat map. We've got the coal map, which we briefly saw before. The ore map, the oil map, the trade map, and the tourism map. So there's definitely a lot to look at to try and keep things organized. Okay, so that one guy was requesting some jobs. So let's go ahead. We're gonna go switch over to low density. And let's work on a new area where we can place some industrial stuff. And let's switch this over to cheetah speed. Let's close that up. And we'll go ahead and start laying down some of the industrial stuff. Now, once again, like the previous SimCities, I'd maybe have to start laying down water pipes and all that. And again, we don't have to do that at all. If we switch over to the water map, you can see the water's already flowing. Now, the next thing I think I might want to build is actually some sort of garbage dump. I don't have the money for it anyway, so I guess we'll just skip that idea for now. Now they got a dirt road coming out of the back of here. Let me actually expand that or connect it. Or maybe not. Yeah, there we go. No, it's not going to let me. For some reason. This game does have a few bugs in it, but I'm sure they'll get them worked out. So I just got a petition to build a coal mine. And now a petition to build the oil well. Now here's actually something I'll show you real quick. When you get a real big city going and you want to change from sort of these little streets to the big streets, you don't have to bulldoze them and lay new streets and, you know, destroy all your houses and all that. This game actually has a straight up upgrading system. So I'll switch over to upgrading mode, and then all I have to do is click on the road, and you can see how it highlighted in white, and it comes up, you know, alright, let's upgrade it. Now it's a low, now it's a medium. Just click on this one, low, medium. Click on this big stretch, now it's a low, and now I burn myself out of money. But as you can see, it's that easy to upgrade the streets. Now we're sort of in a little bit of a holding pattern here. Let me see if I can't plop down a few more of these, because I am out of money. There, I just got a little bit. Let me actually go back to the square tool here for a second. You know, I've been doing just the single lines, but if you want to, you can just use the square tool and, you know, so, you know, just start doing, you know, like this. If I had the money. While we're waiting, we can at least get that little one going. Yeah, this city, I'm going to specialize in the electronics. I don't know if I really want to put down a coal mine or not. I mean, it's really good money to do that. Let's go back to that coal thing for a second. Oh, I put them things right on that spot, but I still have this other spot. Well, we got some more money now, so we can try and finish this out. Let's keep building this on here. Okay, I think we'll be done with that for a little bit here, because I think we almost have as much industrial stuff as we do houses. Let's see, we need 20,000 for a clinic and a fire station, and 30,000 for the police station. Let me check the power grid. And you can see over here, there's a little bar here, green, yellow, red, and it shows that we have 1.5 megawatts excess. So we're good on that. We're 10.3 on water, and the water's clean. Kind of skipping ahead here a little bit. We now have enough money to place the med clinic, so let's go ahead and place this down. And we'll drop it. And let me go ahead and actually click on it here and go into the edit to kind of give you more information on this level building. So again, in the previous Sim Cities, you'd have to place, multiple medic clinics all around the place. But in this one, you have your ambulances, which will go out and get the people, and then you can basically add the patient rooms or waiting rooms to increase your capacity. And in this game, it's not necessarily all about building sideways or around your place. You can also build up. Now, they always say the sky's the limit. Now here I've only got the one, so it's got to go on, whichever side I want. But that's how that would work. So let me go ahead and back out of this. And let's take a look at something a little more interesting. So with this game having the full multiplayer aspect, let's actually switch over to region view. And you can see some of the other towns that we have up. I'm going to go ahead and load into one of my bigger towns that I've already got going, so we can take a look at some of the more advanced items. So we'll load up New Avalon here. Now this city is specializing in mining. So I'll go into the full detail on this advanced system. Now let me go and spin this around here. Now you can see here I've actually got some curved road stuff going on, and it's worked out pretty good. Now one other thing I'll show you here real quick, because I sort of promised this at the start of the video to the people who don't like the look of this version. What they've done, and I think a lot of other people doing videos might not know about this, but if you go into the settings, they have got what they're calling a filter. Here it is. The filter comes up with all these different options. And actually, before I do this, let me actually move the camera so I'm in here kind of close, so you can really get some detail. So we'll kind of picture this. Now let's go back to the filters. And let's switch this over to, I think it's vintage, but let me double check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. So vintage will take us back to a much more classic SimCity look. Do an apply and OK. Resume, and there you go. Much more of a classic version. Now let's quickly just go back to settings, turn it off, apply and OK, resume, and you can kind of see the difference there. Let me go back there one more time and try one of the crazier ones, like a a warmer. Applying okay. And that almost seemed like it didn't work. That was kind of weird. I thought the warm one was like really super bright. Orange and gray. Let's see what cooler is. Oops. Applying okay. Black and red. Okay. That almost kind of hurts my eyes a little bit. That's weird. It's like Sin City or something. It's crazy. Okay, enough messing around with that. Let's go back to normal here. So let's go ahead and take a look at my city specialization, which I said was mining. So let me zoom out here a little bit. And first of all, let's start out with the data layer. Actually, no, let me do it this way instead. And you can see up at the top of the screen there, it's giving you updates all the time. And when you're, you know, in the region with other people, it'll give you their updates, and it keeps everything, you know, really well organized and tells you what's going on and all this stuff. Okay, so coal map. So you can see I had coal here and coal here, but there really isn't too much coal. But if we switch over to ore, there is ore everywhere. So I'm definitely specializing in ore more than coal. So right here, these are the buildings to look at. We've got an ore mine here, coal mine here, ore mine here. We have got the trading depot, and up here we've got the metals HQ. So if we go ahead and let's zoom in here a little bit to ore mine number 1. We'll click on it, and it tells me that it's bringing up, you know, 24 tons a day. Got 2 delivery trucks. If we go into the edit thing on it, I have more options to do more trucks, more ore shafts, and that's how we would expand that one. Now if we back out, let's go up here to the coal one real quick. 48 tons a day on this one. Well, I got 1 delivery truck, and again the same basic thing. Actually, this right here is the second ore shaft, so I've got a primary, secondary, and I can still add more if I want to. So let's go ahead and back out. Now these resources I'm gathering, I can do a number of things with them. I can just store them. I can use them for my in-town stuff. I could send them to other players, or I can put them up on the big market. I almost said galactic market. I don't know why I said that. The global market is what I was looking for. So here at my trade center, actually, let's zoom in on this. I've built 2 additional bays out back here to hold the access. And if we click on this, it's got 2 delivery trucks. And again, I can do an edit on this, and you can see this one's got all kinds of options down here on stuff I can do with it. If we back out of that, go back into it here, and bring up this manage global market. Here's my import, export, use locally rates. So right now I'm just exporting everything, just making money. So I'm making, you know, just over 4,000 and almost 6,000 on ore right now. So this town is really rolling in the dough. One thing that's a little deceiving though is at the bottom of my screen where I have my budget panel, it says I'm making 8,711 per hour. That does not include what I was just talking about. If I actually click in here, all of my ore and my coal are on this separate panel over here under recent transactions. So I'm making 58,000 in just coal and ore, and then I'm making the 8,000 in the normal stuff. So it's a little deceiving on that. But yeah, let's take a little bigger look at the city here. Like I said, I did kind of a half and half thing, sort of a half grid over here, and I did these circle roads over here. You try and do what you can to mix the. Actually, I can show you. If we go back to city view and we bring up this, you can see how I've got all the residential stuff, and then a little bit of commercial mixed in, and then up here is all solid industrial. Now we'll go ahead and we'll turn that off here for a second. Let's check out the police station here. We'll zoom in a little closer here. And again, it gives you the information on the jail cells and how many police cars I have. And if we actually go into the edit thing, you can see I can add more cars. I can do a ground floor jail or top floors. Again, that's, you know, building up instead of not necessarily sideways all the time. Now let me show you a little bit more info on the camera angles, because I kind of showed them a little bit on how you can switch a little bit between, you know, your sort of standard top-down view or these curved views, and you can switch over to these curved views, and you can zoom in real close like this, and you can basically, you know, come in here and almost walk the streets and see what's going on. Pretty good stuff. Now I demonstrated the click ability a little while ago, and you can do that on people too. Like we'll just click on this person, and you can actually follow them around, and again, they give you their opinions. You can do it to cars, you can do it to buildings. And you can see the level progression on that building. They're still, you know, at a 1, and they're working on their 2. We got some notes here. That guy's injured. He's looking for an ambulance. Could be that I'm short on ambulances. How many do I actually have right now? Yeah, see, I actually, let's do this right now. This med clinic is basically at capacity, or a little over. So let's go ahead and look at adding a new waiting room here. We can add one on the side, or we can add one on the back. We'll just go ahead and keep expanding out to the side, I think. And we're at 2 to 4 on ambulance, so let's add another ambulance garage. And that ought to help out those people. Now let me actually give you a school demonstration real quick. And actually the school's at capacity. Yeah, this city is just expanding so fast. But here's how you get around the not having to place 1 million schools. Actually, let's get out of that. Go to school, and you actually put down bus stops. And if we zoom out, you can see all these little blue things. These are all my bus stops. So you can see all the roads are green. So this school's influence goes everywhere because of the bus stops. And I don't need to put them up here because that's all industrial anyway. But that's how you're able to place, you know, just one building, and it'll go everywhere. And the same goes for, you know, your police or your medical or whatever. Okay, and we'll go ahead and back out of that then. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there. You know, this game is so big, it's so complex, it's really hard to squeeze everything into a video that's less than an hour. So I'll just say, you know, everybody stay tuned for the weekly or bi-weekly series that I'm going to do on this, and that will continue to give additional information. But for that, I'll say thank you for watching, and everybody keep playing and have fun.